Good afternoon and welcome to the May 17, 2021 meeting of the Orlando City Council. We're going to begin today with the invocation and the pledge led by Commissioner Burns.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Mayor and fellow commissioners, today is actually a very important day today. Special day. My oldest daughter, Addison Marie, turns 13 today, so she's officially a teenager. So happy birthday, Addison. And with that, let us pray. Dear Lord, thank you for the opportunity for this body to convene again in person and for keeping us safe during these times of uncertainty. I pray that you guide us always, and I ask that you impart your wisdom on us as we deliberate the business of this great city. Lord, I pray that we will continue to have a spirit of camaraderie and work together on our shared mission to serve the needs of all who call Orlando home. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, make a determination of quorum, please?
Commissioner Gray?
Here.
Commissioner Ortiz?
Here.
Commissioner Stewart?
Here.
Commissioner Sheehan?
Here.
Commissioner Hill?
Here.
Commissioner Burns?
Present.
Mayor Dyer?
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum with all members present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's take up the meeting minutes from the workshop agenda review and city council meetings of April the 26th, 2021.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, and so the motion carries. We'll go right into the mayor's update. And Commissioner, we've made some progress in the COVID-19 pandemic, our response. We've had great progress as a community as more and more residents are getting vaccinated. We passed the 50% mark of adult residents in Orange County being vaccinated. How about that? We continue to partner with the Florida Division of Emergency Management to do mobile sites in various neighborhoods around the city of Orlando, and I think that's worked well, bringing the vaccine directly to residents close to where they either work or their residential neighborhoods. So this week on Wednesday will be Commissioner Ortiz will be back at Englewood, and Commissioner Hill will be at Orlando Fire Department Station number 1. So that's Wednesday. And then we'll be at the Orlando Farmers Market again on this coming Sunday. So if you need a vaccination location, go to orlando.gov/COVID-19. Okay, additionally, tomorrow we will open the portal for our new rental assistance program at 8 o'clock. This program is set up to help city households impacted by COVID get current on up to 12 months of unpaid rent. I encourage residents that are interested in learning about that to go to orlando.gov/assistance, and that's people that live in the city limits of Orlando. Orange County got funding, and we got separate funding from them. So if you live in the city, you need to go through our program. If you live in the county or the other incorporated cities in Orange County, you need to go through the county program. And lastly, a quick update on mask requirements. We have followed COVID guidelines from the CDC throughout the course of this. We followed the science, and last week new guidelines were issued by the CDC related to face coverings. So effective immediately, fully vaccinated employees are no longer required to wear a face mask in any work setting for the city of Orlando. And we define a fully vaccinated person as beyond the 2-week period from the second shot of either Pfizer or Moderna, or 2 weeks after the single dose from Johnson & Johnson. You can continue to wear a face mask if you would like. I know Commissioner Sheehan will be in that group, and that is fine. And we also encourage employees to continue to practice good hygiene and stay at home if you feel any symptoms. If you have not been fully vaccinated, you are required to wear a face mask per CDC guidelines. Okay, I want to mention a few things that are on the agenda today. CRA 2 and 3 relate to 2 retail stimulus funding agreements. Both businesses are in the food and beverage industry and will add to our diverse foodie scene in our downtown area. Also, EDV 12 and EDV 15 are two Strive agreements, one with Innovacare Services Company and one with Grant Thornton LLP. Innovacare is a leading healthcare company that is proposing to bring its headquarters to the city and plans to create 200 new high-wage value jobs over 5 years with a median wage of more than $175,000. And Grant Thornton is one of the world's leading organizations of independent audit, tax, and advisory, proposing to open a shared services compliance office in the city, bringing 60 jobs with an average wage of approximately $53,000. Our future-ready city master plan is item A2. Plan will ensure we're prioritizing the use of new innovative technologies to better deliver services for our residents, our businesses. We want to be prepared for the future and create a thriving and more resilient city. Future Ready City Master Plan is a result of a couple of years' worth of hard work and engagement with our private, not-for-profit, educational, and other government partners, and I want to acknowledge Mike Hess and his entire Future Ready team for the work that they put in guiding the creation of the plan. Mike, great work. And also, congratulations on the birth of your recent child. Okay, another important item of note for several people on this board are establishing the qualifying period for candidates and general election dates. Candidate qualifying begins at noon on Monday, September 13th, and runs through noon on Friday, September 17th. General election dates, November 2nd, and if a runoff is necessary, December 7th. Thank you to Commissioner Sheehan and Commissioner Burns, who are serving on the canvassing board. Okay, ordinances on first read. Item 3 is renaming Stonewall Jackson Road to Roberto Clemente Road. Thank you, Commissioner Ortiz, for your leadership on this, and it will align with the name change for the middle school that is on that road. Now, lastly, there are a number of items on our agenda, C22, CRA 56, and ordinance first read number 4 that related to enhancing our downtown safety, especially following the tragic shooting a week or so ago of 34-year-old Joy Torres. We have reviewed the incident and what's happening late night in our downtown, and we believe one of the contributing factors to the atmosphere is that there are a lot of individuals that are coming downtown that aren't patronizing businesses. They're not going to restaurants, they're not going to bars. They're instead just gathering and hanging outside on the streets. And public safety is obviously the #1 business of the city of Orlando. We want to make sure that the safety of our residences and businesses are a top priority, and certainly in our downtown area. And having a shooting of any sort, especially a murder in our downtown, is unacceptable. We're not going to tolerate that, and we're going to take some immediate actions to enhance safety downtown and minimize the street party atmosphere that's going on. So I'd like Thomas to come up and brief you on the package as a whole that's scattered throughout the agenda. Thomas?
Thank you, and good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. For more than 14 years now, I've had the distinct pleasure and the honor of serving as the Executive Director of the Downtown Development Board and Community Redevelopment Agency. And during that time, as you well know, the city and CRA have made significant investments in our downtown. When a task force of people and stakeholders in downtown said that we want our downtown to be a sports and entertainment district, we took that very seriously, and we've made strategic investments, such as the best-in-class NBA arena, per the commissioner of the NBA at that time, an absolutely world-class Dr. Phillips Center for the Performing Arts, the UCF Valencia downtown campus in a rapidly emerging creative village. And we've even invested in a couple of requested grocery stores so that our residents could be better supported. Where we wanted a downtown where everyone could live, work, play, and learn. So together with our downtown businesses, we made a downtown where the nighttime economy, or the nightlife in downtown, is absolutely as vibrant as the daytime economy. And in fact, we're in the midst right now, coincidentally, of doing an economic impact analysis of the nighttime economy, so we look forward to bringing you the results of that fairly soon. Together, we have grown our downtown as an economic hub and as a destination for entertainment for the entire region. Anyone that knows me knows that 99.9% of the time, when I talk about our beloved downtown, I do so glowingly, gleefully, proudly, admittedly, sometimes even boastfully. But the context within which I come to you today, unfortunately, is not within that 99.9, yet it's in that 1/10 of 1% when none of those terms are appropriate and apply. For, as the mayor indicated in his comments, over the past several weeks, there have been episodes and incidents of senseless violence in the streets of downtown Orlando during the late night. A little over 4 weeks ago, there was a shooting on Pine Street where, fortunately, no one was killed, but one person was injured when a gunman fired off 3 shots within 25 feet of 15 to 20 people embroiled in a free-for-all street fight in the middle of Pine Avenue. And of course, as the mayor just spoke of, and as we all have heard, a little over 2 weeks ago, tragically on a Saturday night, Joey Torres had his life taken from him, quite innocently, I understand, right there on Orange Avenue, in the middle of the central business district in downtown. Again, as the mayor just alluded to, both of these instances happened during a time when there was a party-like atmosphere in downtown. And as we review these incidents, and in collaboration, obviously, with the Orlando Police Department, we believe that contributing factors to this party-like atmosphere being created is attracting individuals, as the mayor said, that are coming down. And though the crowds are as intense and dense as they were pre-pandemic, as we talk to our stakeholders, our business owners in downtown, and we've talked to several recently, we find that they generally say that business is better than it was 6 or 8 months ago, but it is not yet at where it was pre-pandemic. So on one hand, we're seeing crowds that are as dense and perhaps even more dense than they were pre-pandemic. But our stakeholders are telling us that that's not equating to patrons that are patronizing their businesses at a higher effect than before. So for the area in front of you, the downtown entertainment area, which
Thomas,
is
your slides are not on the screen.
Sorry about that. Let me get some.
There we go.
Okay. Have it now? Okay. So the measures being brought before you today will be pertinent to what's called the downtown entertainment area, which you see on the screen in front of you, Mayor and Commissioners. And essentially that area is very, very almost identical to the central business district. You can see what the boundaries are. And so we're coming to you with a litany of suggestions. First, though the CRA is statutorily prohibited from funding those things that are historically and traditionally municipal obligations, like police and fire, we are allowed to fund community policing innovations. And so we'd like to fund one such innovation in this instance, which will bring about an increased presence of on-duty police officers on the streets of downtown, particularly at night. Secondly, we'd also want to invest for the next at least 12 months in increased code enforcement staffing to again ensure that we've got code enforcement out at night and ensuring that businesses are complying with all the existing codes such as the noise ordinance as well as occupancy requirements. And in addition to that, we would like to make a very significant and substantial investment in the upgrades to what OPD calls its video monitoring system, or VMS, which is a series of cameras throughout downtown, which are obviously very, very valuable in apprehending crime and sometimes even precluding it. These investments would include replacing iris cameras, which are at the end of their life cycles, adding additional cameras in locations that OPD deems appropriate, needed, and necessary, and additionally adding cameras with special license plate readers, which again are very, very effective in enforcing apprehension when needed. We know, of course, that OPD plays a critical role in keeping our downtown safe, but we don't believe that policing in and of itself can address the entire challenge. Therefore, in order to help tamp down that street party, that anything goes kind of atmosphere that you heard the mayor mention and that I'm speaking to you about that seems to be pervasive throughout downtown at this time, we're proposing some other measures. We want to repeal the existing temporary use permit program, if you approve this, as of June 7th, which previously allowed businesses to operate in the public right away without a permit. We were encouraging them, of course, to do that during times of COVID-19, when it was safer to be outside than it is inside, as you know. Therefore, as of June 7th, again, if approved, sidewalk cafe permits will be available, but will be required in order to operate on the sidewalk, and will have tangible constraints, one of which is that business should cease by 10 p.m. On a daily basis at those sidewalk cafes. Additionally, we're proposing a 6-month moratorium on outdoor speakers or exterior speakers on the public rights of way. That is, speakers that are sitting on the sidewalk outside of a building, or speakers that may be mounted on the side of a building or mounted as a part of a sidewalk cafe to give ambience and provide music. But those speakers are projecting directly onto either the street or the sidewalk. Again, we think removing those speakers, at least temporarily, will help tamp down, if you will, the atmosphere in the streets at night in downtown. If approved, our next steps include implementing, of course, the short-term recommendations that we were bringing before you today, engaging our business community and other downtown stakeholders to see just what they feel are perhaps even more effective ways to provide safety to our downtown patrons and residents and visitors. Safety measures within downtown, and of course, based on the requirements of a moratorium, at the end of that moratorium of the 6-month period or so, we will come back to you with any recommendations, any and all recommendations on long-term solutions to increase safety for everyone in the area. I know, Mayor and Commissioners, this is not an easy ask of you. It's not easy of me to ask it of you. These are not, I don't enjoy this at all. When I got the news of the murder that Sunday morning, I actually was getting dressed in a hotel in Raleigh, North Carolina, preparing to go to the funeral of my best friend's wife, who had died from ALS. He and I go back to kindergarten together. And we roomed together in college, and so we're lifetime friends. And of course, since I heard about that tragic shooting, and that loss of life, that unnecessary loss of life, it's been very troubling, and I look forward to the day when, as a result of collaborating internally with many staff members on several levels, and of course with the guidance and direction and consensus of the Orlando Police Department, we're coming before you today to ask you to enact these measures, at least on a temporary level. You don't need me to remind you that the most fundamental obligation of government is to provide the safety to its people. And so that's always been foremost in all of our minds and everything that we do. Again, anecdotally, in listening to OPD, they're informing us that the crowd size and the intensity of those crowds at night are directly probably contributing to the violence that we see and that we're trying to keep from becoming a trend associated with our downtown. We don't want to hurt businesses that are in downtown. These nighttime businesses have suffered what has probably been the worst year that any of them had because of COVID. You know that, and you acknowledge that by approving several measures, COVID-19 related relief measures, from paying for parking to more than $1 million in rental assistance that we've given to businesses in downtown in recent weeks or recent months, and the list goes on. We recognize that they have had a very difficult time, and we don't want to hinder the comeback, the resurgence of the wonderful businesses that make downtown so vibrant and exciting for all at night. But the long-term success of not only those downtown businesses, but our downtown in general, we feel is at stake. And doing nothing is simply not an option. So I'd say I'm happy to answer any questions and simply say we do all of this, commissioners, and remind you that we do this with the directive of the mayor in mind, which is as we continue working to create the highest quality urban environment in the nation, right here in downtown Orlando. Again, I'm happy to take any questions at this time.
All right, questions. Commissioner Sheehan?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, Thomas, this is, it's awful to have a situation where the very thing that we wanted to have, which was someone coming downtown to pick up dinner, gets shot. I mean, that's just a horrible, horrible situation. So something definitely needs to be done. I've heard from a lot of our restaurants that they want to be able to keep their outdoor seating. Even, we're not out of COVID completely yet, but they would like to keep their outdoor seating. So this does not impact businesses outside of downtown. This is just strictly for downtown.
This is strictly within the entertainment district.
Those boundaries that you just showed. I just want to make
Right.
that clear because
Yes.
I've had several businesses, they're still utilizing outdoor seating, and it's really helped with their business, and they could use the help. So I just wanted to clarify that this is just in downtown. And again, these are measures no one wants to take, but if people don't feel safe going into downtown, that's going to be worse for the business owners in the long run. So we need to take some action. And I think the increased OPD presence, the iris cameras, the code enforcement is all going to help. And just to make it clear that the iris cameras are going to also be enhanced so that we can get license plate readers. So if someone wants to come downtown cruising and causing problems, they're much more likely to get apprehended.
Correct.
Thank you. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Commissioner Hill?
Thank you, Mayor. Just had two questions, and I think you answered it. The restaurants that have outdoor seating downtown, they'll still be able to maintain that, or they would have to come in to get the use permit?
The permit, yes.
The permit. And then there were some venues that gave me a call about concerts. Some of the operators that have outdoor concerts at times, will they not be able to utilize outdoor speakers for special events?
Yeah. This does not affect that at all. Again, the moratorium that we're requesting is for outdoor speakers which project directly onto the rights of way, either the sidewalk or the street. That does not address outdoor speakers that are totally on private property. In the instances that I'm aware of, the speakers that you're talking about would be on the private property of that entity that's holding that concert.
Okay. Thank you. And, I know we're addressing the businesses, but I think we know, but downtown is also a residential community. We have stakeholders that actually live in condos and apartments in that area. So I think this is great for them to be protected. No one wants to be on their way home and get shot down dead in the streets of our downtown. So it's also in mind for them. And of course, I've lost a niece in the last few weeks, the day after this young man was murdered. So I just really applaud your team and Mayor, your leadership, and doing something, doing nothing. We can't, I'm just a little jumbled up because no family have to go through that.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for
Thanks,
doing
Commissioner.
something.
Commissioner Gray?
Thank you, Mayor. And look, I won't make a lot of commentary on what has been in the past because I've been pretty vocal about it in the past. So, but as we look forward, Thomas,
Yes,
and
sir.
we put these steps in the interim, what does this general view of downtown look like going forward? I mean, we've talked about everything. I remember when Billy Hadaway was still here, we had a traffic study to see if the traffic downtown with the one-way, two-way streets was working. We talked a little bit this morning about under I-4. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts downtown.
Sure.
And I just want to make sure that we don't focus strictly on after 10 o'clock at night. There's a lot of issues downtown we've got to deal with. And so what do you see that looking like going forward as far as a evaluation of where we are and what we might recommend going forward?
I think the general outlook for downtown remains unchanged. And I think that the plans that you speak of, for example, when you hear the term the downtown master plan, which is in procurement right now in its final procurement stages, that is the master plan which will address transportation throughout the central business district and most of the CRA, as well as urban design, as well as retail. So that's a continuation of what we did a couple of years ago in the North Quarter, and that's a study that Billy Hadaway was speaking most often about, that you talk about. And so that remains untouched. I think we are forced here, I mean, I believe we are, to react and respond to these incidents of violence to try and make sure that they don't become routine, because that, of course, can undermine the investment, both private and public, for all of us. But other than that, the outlook for downtown is as I meant what I said at the end. I mean, the mayor charged us years ago with creating the highest quality urban environment in the nation, and that's our goal, and that will continue to be our goal. This, unfortunately, I think is unnecessary business that we have to stop, pay attention to, and address, so that it doesn't become, so that people understand that this is unacceptable and will not be tolerated in downtown, or any place, in the city of Orlando for that matter.
Yep, no, I get it. And when you look at these short-term measurements, they're enforcement techniques, police, cameras, those more code enforcement. That's enforcement. And I think as we look at solutions, we've got to focus more on incenting the right businesses and the right people downtown. Because look, we've talked about it before.
Sure.
Private business, the bar owners, once they leave the bar, they're our problem. The bar owners aren't caring. They've had plenty of time to get together as an organization and talk about solutions. They haven't produced any that I've heard. They bring patrons to their bars, fill them up with alcohol, shove them on the street, and then it's the taxpayer's problem. And I just don't have a lot of confidence that the downtown establishments really are that engaged in helping find solutions. So that's my commentary. I'll let it go with that. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Thomas.
All right, thank you all.
Okay, let's move to the consent agenda, which is a number of items that are acted upon through a single vote. Commissioner Ortiz. Thomas.
Thomas, I'm sorry. I pushed the button a little late. Thank you for your presentation, and I think I'm glad that money from the CRA is invested in our police department, who has been working downtown for a long time, and sometimes I always wonder why we couldn't help them, with some of the CRA money. So to hear this is a breath of fresh air. As we look for solutions in the future, I would suggest that the people who know best about what's going on day and night in downtown is our police department.
Yes.
So I hope that we gather some of these experienced officers and some of these experienced lieutenants and captains, I know under the direction of the chief, and take their advice on what would be best, because they have a number of tools at their hands. They have the crime prevention through environmental design. They work in different models, and they are trained all the time. So maybe a combination of some of these business owners who may be resilient, or the ones that are not so cooperative or whatnot with the police department, so they can go ahead and establish what would be best. And I don't know if you guys are already doing that. Maybe, if I'm speaking out of turn, let me know. But if not, I think it's very important, and the chief, who's been overseeing this for quite a while, and he knows best. And I think looking for this kind of wisdom in the police department is probably, in the police officers, is probably best in so many ways. So
So absolutely, Commissioner. I can tell you just from the last few weeks, I know the chief's routine. He's up about 6 because he's emailing me about 6:30 in the morning, and it's going from there. Certainly, we've been in touch with Chief Rolon, Deputy Chief Eric Smith, Captain Miglio, who's now handling the downtown squads, DC Young. I mean, we take our lead from OPD, obviously, when it comes to public safety. We know they're the experts. And again, much of what you see today, the last thing on our agenda today later will be a budget amendment in the amount of $800,000. Most of that money is actually addressing needs to help to support OPD.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Okay, anybody else? And we will move on to the consent agenda, which is a number of items that are acted upon through a single vote of council. We give each of our commissioners an opportunity to comment on items on the consent agenda and update you on important happenings from their districts. We rotate the order we do that. First up is Commissioner Burns.
All right, thank you, Mayor. First, for National Small Business Week, I had the pleasure, and thank you, Mayor, for joining me to visit several businesses in District 6. We went to CNC Community Pharmacy, as well as P&D Soul Food Kitchen. We spoke with Cheryl, the owner of CNC Pharmacy, about her legacy in District 6. And after we were finished, we stopped by Soul Food Kitchen to grab a slice of their famed key lime cake, and I encourage everyone to stop by and get a piece of that cake. On Saturday, May 8th, I hosted a celebration for moms at the Smith Center with food and small gifts for Mother's Day. We hosted it outside with the help of Star 94.5 and the staff of the Smith Center. It was just a small token of my appreciation for all the hard work that a lot of the mothers have been putting in over the last year. And thank you to all the mothers in District 6, not just in District 6, but across our city, beautiful as well. You are appreciated. Last week, I joined Mayor Dye and Commissioner Hill for the graduation of 42 kids from PKZ. It was a great event, and I was happy to help congratulate our graduates. But it was even better to see many of them presented with scholarships and gifts to start their college careers off right. So thank you to Lisa, Brenda, and the PKZ team for all their hard work and the investments that go into our youth who participate in the Paramore Kid Zone. And we're excited about the expansion, Mayor, of the Kid Zone to Holden Heights. Also this past Saturday, I joined the Green Up team in Holden Heights to help beautify Grand Avenue Park ahead of its grand opening in a few weeks. It was great to see so many come out to help plant trees, spread mulch, and work together towards one common goal. Thanks to Jody and Green Up for organizing such a great event. And I also appreciate our city family, like Chris Castro, Corey Knight, and others who came out and got their hands dirty. So thank you all for supporting that beautification event. Lastly, before I go into the agenda, my office is hosting a community meeting in Carver Shores on Saturday at 11 a.m. at the Boys and Girls Club to talk about the coming changes to Riley Street. I know that our community has been waiting for Riley Street to improve, and I'm happy to say that help is on the way. I know Commissioner Hill has worked to advocate for those improvements, so we're happy that construction will be, and those improvements will be starting very soon. For the agenda, just want to highlight a couple of things. For A1, the annual funding agreement for the Homeless Services Network. The tremendous work that they do and the service they provide will be very important pre-COVID, and I estimate they will be greater post-COVID. And as we as a community work to prevent residents from becoming homeless, I'm 100% supportive of this annual agreement. Also, on item B13, amendment to the purchase and sale agreement of Orange Center Boulevard real property. This property the property has been sold to the Hannibal Square Community Land Trust, and I know the project has had some delays, but I'm glad to hear that they have their construction lender, Atlas Atlas plus Pearl is completing their due diligence. They've also secured a equity investor, Schumer Capital, who will be providing 35% equity stake in the development. So I'd like to thank Lori Botts and her team for working with the Hannibal Square Community Land Trust and being patient with them and assisting with getting them to where they are today. It's my understanding that they do expect the due diligence of Atlas and Pearl to be completed close to maybe the first week of July or end of this month, but they've been provided or requesting a 45-day extension, which will end July 6, 2021. So again, I can remain supportive of this project, and I'm looking forward to seeing some affordable housing coming out of the ground on Orange Center Boulevard. And that completes my comments, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'll move to Commissioner Gray.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of words of thanks, real quick. Last Tuesday, we attended the Golden Brick Awards. Many of us were there, and I want to thank the Downtown Orlando Partnership, DPAC staff, and the city staff for putting on a good show under some pretty tough conditions, being outside in 90-degree heat. But congrats to all the winners. It was a great event and showcased downtown and the development that's happening downtown. And then on Wednesday, the 12th, I was fortunate enough to have a tour of the new Orlando Health Emergency Room out in Lake Nona. And it just brought to light what has happened over the years. You know, we've started out with Nemours Children, then we had the VA Medical, but those were kind of geared towards specific groups. But over the last year, we've had Advent Health open an ER, Orlando Health has now opened one, and HCA did the teaching hospital. So District 1 and the Lake Nona area has come a long way with healthcare. So congrats to those folks. And I think they officially open for business beginning of next month. On the agenda, just wanted to highlight item 12 under MPB, and that's the InnovaCare Services Company, bringing 58 jobs with an average salary of $180K is absolutely moving the needle at high-wage jobs. So thanks to Brooke and Sherry and all the folks in the STRIVE program that put that together, a great deal, and thanks to those folks for considering Lake Nona. So with that, I will pass. So thank you, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Gray. Commissioner Ortiz.
Thank you, Mayor. Let me start by expressing my deepest condolences to Commissioner Hale. I know that there's no words to describe the pain of losing a loved one, but we'll continue praying and keeping you and your family on our thoughts as time passes. Hopefully you'll be able to heal. A few notes on the legislative session that ended on Friday, April 30th. How can I say this diplomatically without saying it was a total disaster? Let me see. We keep getting, and it's funny because this was probably one of the toughest years when it came to working with the legislature to be able to not pass legislations like home-based business and vacation rentals. Although vacation rentals, we have to call it a success because it died down. We have to call also the sales tax legislation a success. But it's still in the hands of the governor, the home-based business, to see if he would veto or not. This would have a huge impact in our communities. The peace and tranquility we so much crave in our communities. People being able to open businesses next door, and the city having their hands tied, the municipality having their hands tied to negotiate with the particulars of whatever business. A gym, 24-hour gym, or a shopping center, a car shop or whatever. So to those that are listening, I beg for you guys, for everybody out there, to call the governor and tell him that he needs to veto this particular legislation. And for next year, we're going to try to start early in setting up the priorities and educating our communities about it, so we have more people participating on the legislative process in Tallahassee. That's what's going to make a difference. The only way we can get the influence and the power of true government to come back to the shoulders of the residents of the state is by us learning what's going on and getting involved. And this is not just the responsibility of those of us here representing the community. This is everybody's responsibility because it affects all of us. And there's a lot of good legislations. We have and I don't want to continue talking without saying that we have a good delegation for the most part. Most of the members of our delegation in the Central Florida region, they have done a superb job, and I have to give kudos to Ms. Anna Escamani, who has really gone to a whole new level. Mr. Carlos Smith, Victor Torres, those are some of the ones who have been out there. The new Daisy Morales, she's started, her new position running. She's done a good job. So, but there's others that we need to continue talking to them because they're not representing the community the way they're supposed to. And this is going to affect us greatly if that particular legislation passes. So I just hope that people that are listening get in tune. We have different websites with the Florida League of Cities where we can, if somebody wants to know more, they can call my office, 407-246-2899. We'll give them directions on where to find kind of information that they need to find to get involved. We need more people getting involved because this is affecting our daily lives, our peace, our tranquility, our prosperity, all these different issues. Anyhow, moving along. Kudos to Family Parks and Recreations in the expansion of the kids zone. It's only been about 10 years we've been fighting for this, but finally we got it on the east side, on the west side. So I want to give a huge shout out to and congratulations to Alexandra Temes of the Englewood Neighborhood Center. She accepted the position of Englewood Kids Zone Supervisor, and I'm very excited to her for her leadership in this new role. Alex has been the heart and soul of Englewood, and her dedication to the success of the children of this center is visible through her work. I can't wait to see this program come to fruition and witness her lead the way. So congratulations, Alex. I want to thank Chief Barksdale and Manny Soto for their presentation at the Government Academy. It was the last class, and they closed down the academy with a great performance. Those attendants were very happy, very excited. This was done at the Emergency Center, and not very many people get exposed to that center, which I think is quite a piece of art in itself. So thank you, Chief. Thank you. That was awesome. The rental assistance, where's our man here? I'm excited to see this finally coming to pass, not to pass, but to get started, because there's been a lot of people calling, and I know because of the limitations we had, we couldn't send them to Orange County because they can only participate, those living in the city can only participate from what we had. So I'm excited to see that moving on. So thank you for the housing and economic development, everybody who's involved in this. I want to congratulate the community on the change of the Stonewall Jackson name to Roberto Clemente. Alianza, there was one of the institutions that was involved, led by Marco Villara, Johanna Lopez. There was Father Jose Rodriguez. And I want to thank every property owner around the street who immediately responded to support the change. I want to congratulate our staff because they have done a great work, the due diligence, and we couldn't do it without our staff. They're the real backbone of anything and everything that happens here. So thank you, everybody. I want to congratulate the Government Academy attendance, class 2021-1, who are graduating tomorrow. This is our 7th year. And of course, as soon as those who have not attended the Mayor's Academy, I refer them immediately. And as a matter of fact, we have made a list of all the academies. We have the Police Academy, the Fire Chiefs Academy now, and there's another Leadership Academy that we have, so we're referring everybody to those. On item B2, I want to congratulate, we're awarding ESA Solar Energy, LLC, for the rooftop project, so that's exciting. At Dover Shores, those are, anything that has to do with sustainability in the city of Orlando is exciting, and the subject is becoming more and more of a subject of conversation in every aspect. I hear a lot of people now talking about how they can get off the grid. I know there's no way around that, but for now, they're looking to place rooftop panels on their homes or whatnot. So that's good stuff. And the last but not least, I want to thank Commissioner Hale for your donation to the Central Florida Public Service College and Career Readiness Program. Thank you. That was the first round, right, Commissioner? We're coming back for seconds.
Don't push it, Tony.
I'm excited because, you know what, it's all in good conversation. The chief recently opened up 2 schools, right, Chief? The Lake Nona and Jones, right? Those 2. So all these kids on those schools will benefit from these monies at Valencia College. So this is good stuff is happening. And I'm proud to be part of such a great team as we have here. That's all we have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Stewart.
Thank you, Mayor. Let me also send my condolences to Commissioner Hill. Thank you for the time we spent together. I enjoyed that and appreciate your heart, and our sympathies go out to you. The legislative session, Commissioner Ortiz has mentioned a great deal. I won't bore you with all the rehash, except to say I'm so proud of what you've accomplished, Tony, this past year. We were mobilized unlike anything before, but we also, I think, met a great deal of resistance to what we were trying to accomplish. But I appreciate the work that you did and the leadership that you provided. Thank you.
So have you big time, so thank you.
On my notes today, congratulations to Dr. Mark Shanoff, principal of Edgewater High School. He is being chosen to lead the Volusia County school system, one of the leaders up there in operations. He will be missed, and we're looking forward to great things out of Edgewater with our next principal. I don't know who it is yet, but we're excited about where the school is going and the way that Dr. Shanoff has led us. Memorial Day is drawing near. Let me just remind everybody to mark their calendars for Memorial Day, and mark it at 3 o'clock in the afternoon for what is traditionally become 1 minute of silence for those who have passed on. So please do me a favor, those who have sacrificed our lives, please mark their calendar for that. Just put it on your calendar. I'll send a note out to some of those who are involved, and just when the alarm comes, just take a moment and do that. As the Orange County Public Schools is drawing near, I want to say a special thanks to our teachers and administrators and staff and parents and students, everybody working together to make the best that we can of this past year. It would be the most unique of our entire history, but I think that we have weathered it well, not ideally, but weathered it well, and I appreciate those who have been engaged in that. Upcoming events, let me just share a couple of things. The Fringe Theater Festival is back in person this year, and also hosting an online component to allow more people to participate. The in-person festivities start tomorrow and run through the 31st. The online happenings start June 4th and go through June 18th. I want to say a special thanks to Commissioner Sheehan. She has inspired me to get engaged in it, and I appreciate that. Commissioner Sheehan, thank you for your longtime support of the Fringe. It means so much to our arts community. This year I had the opportunity of helping provide some leadership and some sponsorship to our arts community. It is so important. Unlike any other part of our community, the pandemic has affected them almost the worst. So we need to do all we can to help them out. Also want to say thank you to the Orlando Fringe for being a mobile vaccination site during the festival, so we appreciate that. And speaking of vaccines, don't forget to visit orlando.gov mobile vaccines. The mayor's mentioned a couple coming up, but those are happening almost changing every week. So please make sure that you do your part and get vaccinated. For all of you photography enthusiasts, Ivanhoe Village is hosting a photo contest on Facebook with prizes. So check out Ivanhoe A to Z on their page. They'll be taking submissions through May 27th. And finally, the ferries are coming back to Lou Gardens this summer. This is the third or fourth year. It's a great time to take your kids out. They're doing some of the new homes around throughout the grounds, and they'll be done with construction by June 5th, and they'll be available all during the summer through September. A couple of things on the agenda. Stonewall Jackson, congratulations, Commissioner Ortiz. Appreciate that. The leadership will vote on that later on as well in our ordinances. Homeless Services Network and the funding that goes there, we have seen some real progress in our community in that area. I appreciate that, and of course, appreciate your leadership, Bakari, and the work that you're doing. And in the Future Ready Master Plan, I hope everybody gets a chance to look that up and get a chance to review that. A lot of hard work has gone into that. And while not all of us may agree with every individual detail of it, we all know that we have a direction to go, and I appreciate, Mayor, your leadership and the way that we have tried to respond as a city for the future. And that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Sheehan.
Well, thank you, Mayor Dyer, and just had a couple things on the agenda today. I too am happy to see solar power for Dover Shores Neighborhood Center. As a person who has solar power on their house, it's a wonderful addition, so very, very glad to see that. As well as item C9, the business assistance for Black Rooster Taqueria. They're a wonderful little place. They're expanding to Curry Ford Road, so glad to see them succeeding through our business assistance program. And I, too, was very upset by the legislative session. There was just a lot of bad things happening, Commissioner Ortiz, everything from voter suppression to this, to the home-based businesses allowing basically a car repair place to be operated out of a home with nothing we can do about it. Someone could spray cars in a home. You know, it's just absolutely absurd. I mean, there's lots of state issues that need attention. Our unemployment system is a mess. Our mental health, we are one of the last states in the nation in mental health funding, and yet they want to mess in our nest and worry about what we're doing in the cities, and they're doing a terrible job of it. And the difficult thing with this is that our citizens can't go to Tallahassee like the lobbyists can on a expense account. You know, they can't. They'd have to. In order to go to Tallahassee, you have to stay overnight. You know, you have to have an expense account. It's very hard for our residents to go to Tallahassee to fight these things. So maybe it's time we just fight back and have a home rule amendment, constitutional amendment in this state, because for what they've been doing to solar power, for what they've been doing to the environment, for what they've been doing to schools and everything, to our planning, maybe it's time that tell them, concentrate on what you should be doing at the state level. And we let us do at the local level what we need to be doing at the local level, because this is getting really ridiculous. When, you know, everything that they have tried to preempt over the last 3 years has just been absurd. It's like they have contempt for local government. We're just hardworking people trying to do our jobs. So I'm very, very frustrated with that, Commissioner, and anything that I can do to help, I'm willing to, because, you know, it's ridiculous that we have to spend so much time, instead of working for the good of our citizens, we have to fight bad bills from being passed constantly instead of working towards what we want to get passed in Tallahassee. It's really pretty absurd. So anything I can do, please count me in. I know there's been lots of attention this week to the swans at Lake Eola, and you know, seeing the baby swans, the cygnets at Lake Eola hatching is a rite of spring. A lot of people like to go downtown and see them. Unfortunately, 2 cygnets were stolen from Lake Eola Park by someone who felt he had a right to them. But they were recovered by OPD, and I want to thank the Orlando Police Department for some great detective work. We had citizens that were willing to participate, took video, handed it over to OPD. We got, you know, get a tag. You know, the detectives did an amazing job, and they got those birds back safely. And we reunited them with their parents, and I also had to reunite them with the egg. I mean, Kurt over at Lake Eola had to put this whole nest back together of these poor animals. But mommy, babies, everybody's doing well. And they're eating lettuce happily now. But the thing is, if you see something, say something. A lot of folks were upset and were yelling at this man to put the swans down and to leave them alone. And people are wondering why we leave them on the nest. Well, swans are territorial. They're birds. They're like chickens. If you move them around, they start to fight. So they're best left on their nests to kind of establish their territory. And some will fall to predators. It's unfortunate. There's a heron there that eats the babies sometimes. Turtles will get them into the eggs. it's bad enough dealing with the natural predators, let alone the two-legged predators. So again, we do the right thing by our swans. We have a very active swan program at Lake Eola Park. But our main problem is the two-legged predators who are helping themselves to our eggs and hurting our birds. So again, I want to thank the public for everything that they did to recover them. And anybody who wants to be a critic, I would encourage them to come to our Swan Roundup and help us help the swans rather than just criticize what we're trying to do and what the hardworking staff at Lake Eola Park does every single week to take care of our beautiful icons of our city. And just to let everybody know, we have 5 of the 7 varieties of swans in the world at Lake Eola Park, and you can see them. And right now they're sitting on nests and having babies, so it's kind of cool to be able to go down there and see that. So again, I want to thank OPD from the bottom of my heart. Great work and a great result, and the whole family's happy now. Thank you. That's all I had, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. And Commissioner Hill.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, good afternoon, everyone. There's a few things on the agenda that I want to speak about, and it is C2. We're getting ready to help a company called Dexter Original Birdland. We're giving them $61,000 to do some renovations inside of the old Johnson's Diner, old Chef Eddie's, there in historic Paramore. So they say they have the best chicken this side of heaven, and it'll make you slap your mama. So I'll see, I'll see what they're talking about real soon. And then we also have some more economic development in District 5, which is the iconic Old Al's Army on Orange Blossom Trail, which is now Great Work. Sherry and Brooke has been working with this company, which is Deadwood's Brewery Company. We're trying to revitalize that area there in OBT Washington Street. So I'm really excited to see them receiving some of our city help. They have invested over $3 million of their own funding and will be doing outreach there in the Paramore area to hire from within the neighborhood. So I really appreciate them going out to bring folks there, but more so help the people that live in that area. Amir, I know you've been very aggressive even pre-COVID by seeking out minorities to sit on the appointment boards. And I'm glad to say that we have, the mayor has appointed Giselle Mormon, and she is very instrumental in economic development there in downtown and the west side of Orlando, and Mrs. Ashley Figueroa. So welcome, ladies, and I know you'll do a phenomenal job, and thank you, Mayor. It's always trying to make sure that we're well represented by all communities here in the city of Orlando. We also have on the agenda today the extension of the amendment for Paramore Oaks 2, which we have built there almost 200 units of affordable housing there on the south side of Paramore. As you know, this council is huge on bringing affordable housing here in the city of Orlando, and I think we have led the way throughout Central Florida. We've created thus far in the last 3 to 4 years, Mayor, possibly about 1,500 units, and it's growing. So this one has a special need. It's because usually we're developers are targeted 80 to 60% and can't do much 50 and 40 and 30%, and this particular project here is going to be for 50% and lower of the average medium income, where there's a great need for true workforce housing. And of course, yes, Commissioner Ortiz, I am a woman of my word, and I'm just excited to contribute towards your vision on making sure that we're recruiting and training the best, but more so going inside the schools through chief style leadership. So thank you, Chief. If you need any more money, Commissioner Ortiz has some. And then we have under our economic department, Sherry Gulch and Pauline Eaton. we've been working a couple years now to expand the Main Street. We've gone into Paramore and Creative Village, and now we will go into District 5 and District 6, which is the West Lakes Marketplace, to work with businesses there in that Orange Center, West Lakes corner, and the Washington Shores area. So I'd like to thank Sherry and Pauline for their efforts. It's been a long time coming. They've worked very hard on creating this marketplace because really the city of Orlando only had Main Street, so this is our first marketplace. Also, Chris Castro, thank you. We have, everyone knows that I truly enjoy farming and community gardens, and I think under Chris's leadership, we've created about 6 community gardens since I've been in office, and now we're expanding the Paramore Community Garden into McQuigg and Jefferson. We'll start 2 more plots and a 3rd one coming, so thank you, Mayor, for signing off on this, and council, hopefully you'll vote for it, because it is a food desert there, and we've seen how the community have really gathered around creating this, I think, urban oasis when we start talking about our vegetation there in that area. And I think we're gonna have a few fruit trees in this one, and then eventually, hopefully, some hydroponics going on. So I'm excited. Thank you, Chris, for championing this and really engaging folks there in the community. On Tuesday, April 27th, I attended, along with Mayor Dyer, as he stated earlier, the efforts of the city to reach herd immunity and doing pop-up sites all throughout the city. We were over at Camping World Stadium, and then I think on Thursday, Mayor, we were at Amway Center together, which had along with our partners from Advent Health and Orlando Magic. So thank all of them for efforts. On Thursday, April 29th, we held a job fair at Camping World Stadium. Of course, there's a $60 million renovation going on there in Bartomello. HNTB, Collage, JCB, C2 Advisors, Provisions, and Florida Citrus Sports had a job fair. And it offered mechanical and electrical, plumbing, drywall, carpentry, and general labor opportunities. I wish I had a great report on this, but I don't. No one showed up. No one showed up. We went out and knocked on doors and canvassed the community. But it shows right now, being kind of critical, I might get in trouble for this, but it's okay, that eventually the stimulus checks are going to stop. Eventually the unemployment checks are going to cease. And all the other public assistance that we truly need during COVID is going to stop, because it has to. It's not sustainable. But what is sustainable and what is the best social program is a job and education. So we're not going to stop trying to give these opportunities, but I do want citizens, because this wasn't just a District 5 event, this was a city event, that people participate before they're forced to participate, and then when they're forced, more than likely it might not be any jobs, opportunities. So we'll have another job fair. I just want to thank the partners there at Florida Citrus Sports and all the vendors and the contractors for doing what they said they would do. And they held up to their end of the bargain, and the community is going to have to do the rest. they're still hiring. On April the 30th, I was able to join the Boys and Girls Club at Rose and Shingle Creek. It was well attended. They raised over $100,000 for the Central Florida Boys and Girls Club, and I'm fortunate to have 3 of the clubs in my district, and I'm just excited to see all the work that they've done and the foundation they're creating for the children there on the west side of Orlando. On Saturday, the May 1st, we had a medical program outreach through the Blueprint 2.0. The partners was Valencia College, Southern Technical Institute, the IAM, which is the International Association for Academic Methods, Career Source, and Central Florida Urban League. It was well attended. There were quite a few folks that came and enrolled and will be getting their patient care tech certificate, their EKG certificate, CNA, home health aide, and patient care tech. With that, the City of Orlando, for city residents only, will receive $125 per week stipend, and also Valencia attended that very important outreach. I joined Mayor Dyer and the folks over in Metro West. We're bringing a grocery store over to District 5, Carver Shores area, and it is Metro West area, right there on the verge of Kirkman and Raleigh, and it is a Bravo supermarket. I just love Bravo's. They love their foods. They're almost like a international grocer where they have foods from all different countries, and just a great group of folks. And I welcome the Ramirez group to the City of Orlando. They've been in the county, now they're moving. And I think they're over in District 2, are they, Commissioner? I think the Bravo?
Bravo.
Yeah. So, so now I have one on the west side of Orlando. Hopefully we can move them downtown. And I also attended the Golden Brick Awards, in which I got a Golden Brick with the Fairwind Credit Union, which was just gracious enough to give the Urban League $50,000 to renovate their Urban League to make it an empowerment zone. We're now Blueprint 2.0 program is being held. So I'd like to thank them so very much for their generous donation. And hundreds of folks have been assisted throughout the city because of their efforts. I was able to also join Keep Orlando Beautiful in the City of Orlando, along with the Carter Street Neighborhood Association, the Paramore Community Engagement Council, UCF Downtown Valencia, KBI Staffing, and Change for the Community. And we had a day of cleanup in honor of Miss Venetia Kennedy, that was a leader there in the Carter Street area, and that was to honor her and all of her efforts. So hopefully it made Miss Vinnie proud. And last but least, through Rodney Williams and Onika Burnett, Lisa Early leadership have joined us there on the northwest corner of Mercy Drive, where the Kids Zone has also expanded. And we had our first outreach, and it was with the trades community. We partnered with the Central Florida Associate Builders, and we had many of those from the construction industry. It was well attended, to offer apprenticeship programs with the different vendors that was there. It brought me so much joy to see so many African American young men and Hispanic young men in that room to come and get a trade. Through the Kids Zone, they're providing those that's within that northwest corner $15 an hour to attend school. so that will help them along the way. And I'm just excited because Valencia Community College will be opening their construction program doors in August sometime, right there in the Mercy Drive corridor, to help facilitate this very important apprenticeship program that we have there in the Northwest Kid Zone. And it's for anyone in the city. The $15 isn't, it's only for those in the zone. But you can contact Onika Barnett, she's the one facilitating it. Also for My Brother's Keeper, Mayor, it's part of that initiative also, your initiative, My Brother's Keeper. That's why I said Hispanic and Latino, I'm sorry. Commissioner Ortiz, Latino and African American. And with that, Mayor, it's an 8-week program, and I'll move the agenda.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Sheehan. All in favor indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Okay, if there's no objection, I'm going to recess the city council meeting and convene the CRA meeting. The first item of business is meeting minutes from the March 24th advisory board meeting. Is there a motion to accept those minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Burns, second by Commissioner Sheehan. All in favor indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. All right, Thomas, you can take it from there. Number 2.
Thank you, Mayor. Item number 2 is approving retail stimulus program funding agreement for Dexter's Original Birdland LLC, which Commissioner Hill commented on during her comments. I want to remind you that this program was created and approved back in 2010, was last amended in 2020, allowing for a 50-50 match of up to $75,000 for tenant improvements, as well as a one-time allowance of up to $25,000 toward rental assistance. This application, again, is Dexter's Original Birdland LLC, to be located at 595 West Church Street, Suite E, also more commonly known as the Johnson's Diner Spot. Total associated cost of improvements is $94,300. Therefore, the applicant is eligible for just over $47,000 for tenant improvements, as well as a $14,400 in rental assistance, for a total of $61,591.50. The advisory board has recommended approval. Mayor and council and staff is requesting approval.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Sheehan. Questions or discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Number 3.
Again, is approving a retail stimulus program funding, this time with Boba ETC Incorporated. Boba is going into, this is for improvements at 12 North Summerlin, which is Thornton Park Central. Associated costs with eligible improvements is $118,678, qualifying the applicant for $59,339, and the full complement of $25,000 in rental assistance, for a total funding amount for Boba ETC Inc. Eligibility is for $84,339.32. Again, the advisory board recommends approval, and staff is requesting approval.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Hill. Questions or discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Number 4.
Thank you. Number 4 is approving Paramount Oaks Phase 2, Fourth Amendment to purchase and sell agreement. You remember back in December 2016, the CRA entered into purchase and sell agreements for Phase 1 and Phase 2 of Paramount Oaks and development with Invictus Development LLC for its purchase and development of Paramount Oaks project on property owned by the city and the CRA. Phase 1, 120 units, was finished back in completed in 2019. Due to recent conditions, the Florida Housing Finance Corporation, which of course issues the low-income housing tax credits necessary for the project, has extended the deadline for completing credit underwriting in this RFA to October 28th, 2021, and as such, this Fourth Amendment to the purchase and sale agreement would extend the closing date for the sale of the Phase 2 property to November 1st, 2021. And again, the advisory board recommends approval, and staff is requesting your approval.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Sheehan. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. All right, number 5, the community policing initiatives.
All right, 5 and 6 are pertinent to the presentation earlier and the mayor's comments earlier. 5 is approving community policing innovative initiatives. Part 3 of Chapter 163 of Florida statute specifically authorizes CRAs to develop and implement community policing innovations. And of course, our downtown outlook, which is our redevelopment area plan, calls on the CRA to improve the perception and reality of safety within the downtown community redevelopment area. We're looking to do that at this time through various short-term measures, including the increased invisible presence of policing in the area, with increased patrolling within the area by both police officers and code enforcement officers, as well as addition of more camera technology within the area. Staff is requesting approval of the implementation of the stated community policing innovation initiatives and approval of the expenditure from the Downtown Orlando Community Redevelopment Area Trust Fund in the amount of up to $800,000 in funding for these community policing innovation initiatives.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Stewart. Discussion. We had a presentation earlier during the course of the meeting, so this would implement most of the measures that Thomas had discussed. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Now, how about the funding for it?
And final item C is approving the budget amendment 1 for fiscal year 2020-2021 to allocate the appropriate funding for the aforementioned item just approved. Staff requests approval of the Community Redevelopment Redevelopment Budget Amendment 1 and Budget Resolution 1, amending the 2020-2021 Community Redevelopment Agency budget as stated in the resolution.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Hill. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Any further business, Thomas?
There's none, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, then we'll stand adjourned in the CRA. We'll reconvene the City Council meeting. We'll move to hearings, ordinances on second reading. Number 1, Madam Clerk.
Ordinance number 2021-17, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, annexing to the corporate limits of the city certain land generally located north of Beth Road, east of Boggy Creek Road, and west of Happy Lane, and comprised of 39.57 acres of land, more or less, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's error, and an effective date.
Move to adopt.
Motion by Commissioner Gray, second by Commissioner Ortiz. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests for public participation?
No, Mayor.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Number 2.
Ordinance number 2021-18, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, amending the city's adopted growth management plan to assign the urban village future land use map designation to approximately 39.57 acres of land generally located north of Beth Road, east of Boggy Creek Road, and west of Happy Lane, further amending the city's growth management plan to establish a new sub-area policy for the same property to provide a maximum development program and required land development regulations and inclusion in the Southeast Orlando sector plan, providing for amendment of the city's official future land use maps, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's error, and an effective date.
Move to adopt.
Motion by Commissioner Gray, second by Commissioner Ortiz. Madam Clerk.
No speakers, Mayor.
Discussion, hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Number 3.
Ordinance number 2021-19, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, designating certain land generally located north of Beth Road, east of Boggy Creek Road, and west of Happy Lane, and comprised of 39.57 acres of land as planned development with the Aircraft Noise Overlay District, providing a development plan and special land development regulations of the planned development district, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's error, permit disclaimer, and an effective date.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gray, second by Commissioner Ortiz. Madam Clerk, any public participation?
No, Mayor.
All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Commissioner Gray, I'm certainly happy to see you have a Happy Lane.
Happy Lane. Very happy.
I don't know that I've ever been on Happy Lane, but I have to visit sometime. Okay, number 4.
Ordinance number 2021-22, an ordinance amending Articles 1 and 2 of Chapter 5 of the Code of the City of Orlando entitled Code Enforcement Board and Code Enforcement Citations respectively, to correct certain terminology, update procedures, and add emergency orders to the list of codes for which citations may be issued, providing for severability and an effective date.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Ortiz, second by Commissioner Sheehan. Madam Clerk, any public participation?
No, Mayor.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Number 5.
Ordinance number 2021-23, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, amending Chapter 43A of the Code of the City of Orlando entitled State of Emergency to add Chapter 5 of the Code of the City of Orlando to Section 43A.06 or 06, entitled Penalty as a Method of Enforcement, and providing for severability, codification, correction of scrivener's error, and an effective date.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Stewart, second by Commissioner Ortiz. Madam Clerk.
No speakers, Mayor.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Number 6.
Ordinance number 2021-30, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, annexing to the corporate limits of the city certain land generally located east of Boggy Creek Road, south of Lake Nona Boulevard, and north of Kingdom Road, addressed as 14041 Boggy Creek Road, and comprised of 7.54 acres of land, more or less, and amending the city's boundary description, amending the city's adopted growth management plan, to designate the property as urban village on the city's official future land use maps, amending the boundaries of growth management plan, sub-area policy S.35.4, to include the property in the southeast Orlando sector plan, providing for amendment of the city's official future land use maps, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's error, and an effective date.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gray, second by Commissioner Sheehan. Madam Clerk.
No speakers, Mayor.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Number 7.
Ordinance number 2021-35, an ordinance of the City of Orlando, Florida relating to the regulations of taxi cabs, limousines, luxury passenger vehicles, shuttles, and other vehicles for hire. Amending Chapter 55, Section 55.02 of the City Code relating to definitions, amending Chapter 55, Section 55.03 of the City Code relating to staff administration, amending Chapter 55, Section 55.12 of the City Code relating to liability insurance or surety bond, amending Chapter 55, Section 55.21 of the City Code relating to issuance of vehicle permits, amending Chapter 55, Section 55.22 of the City Code relating to vehicle permit renewal, amending Chapter 55, Section 55.23, the City Code relating to replacement and transfer of vehicle permits, amending Chapter 55, Section 55.25 of the City Code relating to distribution of available taxi cab vehicle permits, amending Chapter 55, Section 55.30 of the City Code relating to driver permit, providing for codification, correction of scrivener's error, and an effective date.
Motion by Commissioner Ortiz, second by Commissioner Stewart. I understand we do have somebody who wants to testify on this matter.
Yes, Mayor. We have Albert Castagna appearing in person. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes to speak.
Quick Cab, 6017 Sand Pines Estates Boulevard, Orlando, Florida. I just want to thank the mayor and the group for passing the insurance bill so we can put small businesses back to work again. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that it, Madam Clerk?
That's all, Mayor.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. And number 8.
Ordinance number 2021-36, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida relating to regional public facility designation and signage, approving an amendment to the master sign plan for the Dr. Phillips Center pursuant to Section 64.320 Orlando City Code, providing for conflicts, penalties, severability, correction of scrivener's error, permit disclaimer, and an effective date.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Stewart. Madam Clerk?
No speakers.
No speakers. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. All right, let's go to ordinances on first reading and start with number 1.
Ordinance number 2021-15, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, annexing to the corporate limits of the city certain land generally located north of West Colonial Drive, east of Mercy Drive, and west of W.D. Judge Drive, and comprised of 8.28 acres of land more or less, and amending the city's boundary description, amending the city's adopted growth management plan to designate the property as industrial and public, recreational, and institutional in the city's official future land use maps, designating the property as the industrial, commercial, and public use districts with the Wekiva overlay on the city's official zoning maps, providing for amendment of the city's official future land use and zoning maps, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's error, permit disclaimer, and an effective date.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Sheehan. Is there anyone that wants to speak on this?
No, Mayor.
Discussion, hearing none. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Number 2.
Ordinance number 2021-27, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, amending the Narcoossee Cove 1 and 2 Plan Development zoning districts, providing for amendment of special land development regulations for a portion of the property generally located east of Narcoossee Road, south of State Road 417, north of Tyson Road, and west of Lake Whippoorwill, comprising of 6.76 acres of land more or less, providing that prior ordinances still in effect, providing for permit disclaimer, correction of scrivener's errors, severability, and an effective date.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gray, second by Commissioner Ortiz. Is there any member of the public who wishes to speak on this matter?
No, Mayor.
Discussion, hearing none. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Okay, number 3.
Ordinance number 2021-34, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, relating to a street name change renaming Stonewall Jackson Road, which is described in Plat Spanish Oak South Unit Number 2, as recorded in Plat Book 6, page 9 of the Public Records of Orange County, Florida, generally located between South Cimarron Boulevard and Jellwood Avenue, north of Curry Ford Road, and south of Lake Underhill Road, to Roberto Clemente Road, directing amendments to the official maps of the City of Orlando, Florida, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's error, and an effective date.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Ortiz, second by Commissioner Stewart. Madam Clerk?
We have one speaker, Sulma Velez Estrada, appearing in person. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes to speak.
Clerk or our IT guys? Still can't hear. Can somebody downstairs help her with a button? She had to talk louder because I thought they could hear it down there.
Thank you very much. My name is Sulma Velez Estrada. I am a member of the organization Alianza for Progress, and I am very honored to be in front of this council, and I thank you, each one of you, especially Commissioner Ortiz, for helping us to be to approve this change of name from Jackson's Road to Roberto Clemente. Our community is very honored to have this change made. So I will yield to Mr. Marcos Villar. He is our president of the organization, so he'll take the rest of my minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have a message here that he no longer wants to speak.
Okay. Is that it then?
That's all we have.
Okay. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. And number 4. You know, before we go on that, Commissioner Ortiz, I've actually visited the Roberto Clemente Museum in Pittsburgh. And it's in an old 150-year-old fire station that they took out of service. And there's a private club or group of people that maintain it. So it just happens that the mayor is a member. Mayor Pittsburgh is a member, so I was in Pittsburgh and
Oh, really?
he showed us around. It's pretty cool.
I heard an anecdote, and I don't know how true, I believe it's true. This guy from TV station, one of the latest TV stations that came into town, that when Martin Luther King and Roberto Clemente became good friends, and he took him to Puerto Rico. Martin Luther King was in Puerto Rico a couple of times, and he took him to a club to dance salsa. So he taught allegedly Martin Luther King how to dance salsa. So that's I have to verify that, but that's pretty neat.
Well, if it's not true, we just hope it is.
Yeah. Well, Roberto Clemente got really involved in the movement, a civic rights movement. Roberto Clemente was black Latino, and of course, he left such a great legacy. I think there's not a kid in Puerto Rico that didn't grow up. And when I was growing up, I had a baseball bat, which had the Roberto Clemente signature, and I don't think there's a kid that hasn't had something related to Roberto Clemente in Puerto Rico. So thank you so much.
Okay, let's move on to number 4.
Ordinance number 2021-39, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida relating to restrictions on the use of public rights-of-way, imposing a temporary moratorium on the new permits and permit renewals for sound amplification devices within the public's right-of-way in the downtown entertainment area, adopting findings of fact, directing staff to study and report to the City Council on public health, safety, and welfare concerns relating to the use of sound amplification devices within the public rights-of-way in the downtown entertainment area by a date certain, amending Section 54.28 Orlando City Code to provide a method for establishing hours of operation for sidewalk cafes, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's error, and an effective date.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Sheehan. Madam Clerk, do I understand we do have people that want to testify on this matter?
Yes, we have 5 speakers.
Okay.
Up first is Dirk Farrow, appearing in person. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes to speak.
Hello, my name is Dirk Farrow, and I live at 55 West Church Street, Orlando, Florida, 32801. Thank you, Mayor Dyer and City Council members. I want to also thank the Downtown Development Board for, adding the extra security for downtown. The additional police officers will be very welcome. So will the additional and improved cameras downtown. I think, speaking for my company, we very much want to, do anything we can do and be helpful in any way we can be to keep downtown as safe as possible. And I understand, I don't agree with, but I understand the concept of not having speakers facing the streets, providing entertainment for folks who aren't, coming into my businesses or any other businesses, and just really looking to cause trouble. But the cafe permits and getting rid of the cafe permits from 10 to 2, when a lot of my businesses and presumably a lot of other businesses downtown do the majority of their business, is taking away space that we use to generate sales, which help us stay in business. Why I don't think they cause any entertainment really for the folks that are walking up and down the streets. Once again, I'm not opposing the speakers facing the right-of-way, but just would like the cafe permits to stay, be able to stay open until we close our businesses at 2 o'clock. I'm also available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Kevin Young. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes to speak.
Hi, my name is Kevin Young. My address is 16768 Broadwater Avenue, Winter Garden, Florida. First of all, I'd just like to thank you guys for allowing us to speak, and also would like to commend OPD for their efforts over the past 3 weeks. As a business owner downtown, we've noticed that there's been a tremendous change. Keeping people from loitering on the street, keeping them moving, active, responding quickly to a lot of the issues that might happen downtown. So we appreciate that as business owners, and we've definitely seen a change within that centralized downtown area. We own a few bars downtown, Eden Lounge, Celine, and Tier as well. And we have spent countless dollars with the city of Orlando and OPD, upwards of $3,000 to $4,000 a week. So we are very active. I just wanted to make that clear that we are in front of it. We care about our safety of our employees as well as the patrons. It's our number one priority. That's why we make it a precedent to, spend that much nightly on some presence there. It obviously deters some of that crowd from coming out, but I do not think it's caused by outdoor speakers or patio permits. We live in Florida. People genuinely love the outdoor weather. It's different from up north where you're stuck inside most of the time. I think a lot of the patrons frequent downtown just because of that nature, and we do have venues that provide that atmosphere. When it comes to the loiterers on the street, people not going in to accessing the building or buy drinks inside, that's due mainly, and I think the last couple events that happened that were unfortunate happened as we were closing, so 2 to 2:30 when the let out. My belief is the reason that happens is because you have all the venues letting people out at the same time, just like one of the commissioners said. But at that point, that's where we need to have more presence. It doesn't happen throughout the night. It only happens at the end of the night. So a recommendation that I may have is maybe extending some of the hours to allow patrons to leave the downtown area in a little bit more formally fashion versus all at once. Also, Commissioner Hill mentioned that this ordinance was just for the downtown restaurants that were in the middle of Central. They will be affected too. I know a lot of their businesses happen from 10 to 12 when people get a later dinner that are possibly going to one of the bars or nightclubs downtown. I know a lot of my colleagues and people that work in the downtown area definitely are going to miss out on a lot of business. And after coming off this unprecedented year, it will cause much harm to the rest of the community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is John Dobson. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes to speak.
Hello, my name's John Dobson. I've been a businessman in the downtown entertainment district for 15 years. I appreciate the mayor and the council to allow us to speak. I've built a lot of businesses in the downtown market, and I don't know if anybody's taking a look at also the economic impact on some of the style business that I brought. I helped build Ceviche back in the day. I would not bring Ceviche under these requirements, which I'm sure did not contribute to these things. I've had a French bistro. I own an Italian restaurant. I see other compatriots in the downtown marketplace, Harpin Kelt, who's been here God knows how many years, and they make a lot of their money serving food and beer from 12 to 3 a.m. I can understand, creating the party atmosphere on the street, that if the music's too loud, the music's too loud, enforce it. But the Sidewalk Cafe, I think we're gonna lose so much business. And after this last year, it's like a kick in the shins. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Next, we have Kevin Little. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes to speak.
Kevin Little will not like to speak anymore.
Next is Ryan Davis. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes to speak.
Hello, my name is Ryan Davis, 2171 Poinsettia Drive, Longwood, Florida, 32779. I and my colleagues all agree that we absolutely cannot have this terrible acts of violence taking place downtown. My heart goes out for anyone that has any loss in this situation. And I'm here to tell you I'm compelled to speak in in more of an overreaction to an isolated incident that is brought forth by a handful of bad apples. The city's response is a little bit extreme when we're talking about taking away all the sidewalk cafe permits. I feel like these things happen after hours. They're really out of our control. Me and my colleagues, we spend over $1 million a year in off-duty police officers to contain these situations. I was a little offended by the fact that it was brought up that we are not engaged with the city officials. We spend countless hours trying to engage, and we feel like we've been a little bit left out to dry in a lot of this stuff. I appreciate your time, and we hope we can figure this thing out together. Thank you.
That's all, Mayor.
That's all the speakers?
Yes.
Okay. Discussion, Commissioner Hill.
I just need a little clarity, I guess, from Thomas.
Thomas, you want to come up?
Yes. The repeal of the outside cafes, is that turning back, because prior to COVID, restaurants and they had outdoor dining, correct? So are we stripping them from doing business with this particular piece of what they were doing previously? Because we really want to address the, as you stated, the activities of folks loitering and just hanging out. I really don't want to impact the restaurants that are serving food that had outdoor dining. So,
prior to COVID, Commissioner, doing business on the public right-of-way required a permit.
okay.
That permit was to be renewed annually. A cursory check of the records right now there are very, very few valid permits for sidewalk cafes in downtown Orlando. I don't want to give you an exact number, but it's less than the fingers on my hand. That's what we found recently as we went back and looked at the records. Now, because of the pandemic, you recall that one of the many things that you did, to try and help businesses get through a terrible time was to say, okay, for now, even the CDC is saying we're safer outside, so move outside, extend your businesses outside, and serve your patrons out there. That can help. It's healthier, and you get to do more commerce. And that's without a permit. We agree to that. What we're asking now is to rescind that order, that temporary use permit, and again, require that businesses get permits. We're not saying that no one can have a permit, but we're asking that businesses come in, apply, give the pertinent information that's required on the application, submit, and go through a process, as they did prior to the pandemic, to get a valid permit. I think, I'm not sure about this, those guys that have spoken, there's more. I've been told that they'd like to see me after this. I'm going to go downstairs to see them. They're my friends. I know them all. I mean, I deal with them all the time. So I can't speak definitively, authoritatively on their behalf. I can't speak for them. But I think what you're hearing in what you just heard was several of them saying, if you limit our sidewalk cafe permits to closing or to stop serving at 10 p.m., that will curtail or diminish the amount of revenue we're able to realize from sidewalk cafe permits. Our contention, Commissioner and others, is that very few restaurants are actually serving food, dinner, if you will, in sidewalk cafes on the public rights of way after 10 p.m. What is true, and what I think you'll see, what you're experiencing, is that several other food and beverage entities that are primarily beverage-oriented entities utilize their sidewalk cafes to their advantage, for obvious reasons and understandably so. We're requesting, again, on a temporary basis, to curtail that activity at 10 p.m. when you have a valid permit. Now, we're requesting you to cease and desist if you do not have a valid permit. You know, if the ordinance is of course approved. So again, I don't want to speak for them because I haven't met with them yet. I mean, I've met with several of them over the phone and one-on-one over the last 2 weeks. I mean, several of them. But again, they've requested that I meet with them downstairs after this, so I intend to do that. But those are the facts as I know them right now.
So the public right-of-way is what we're saying, the sidewalk, not, for instance, like an Ember that have outdoor spaces connected to their buildings. That's
private property.
That's private property.
Right.
Okay, so I got it. How about
And this
like,
would not affect that. I'm sorry.
over off of Central, like Lakeside, that is connected, is the outside dining?
Where? Which ones?
World of Beer. World of Beer, they're outside.
In those, yeah.
Yeah. So World of Beer has several situations on the north side of the building as well as wrapping around to the east side of the building, around in the park there.
Right.
That, I believe, is all public property. I mean, I'm sorry, private property, but I'm not sure, Commissioner, that may extend into the park, actually some park land, which has different regulations.
I think we took action of
right
some
away.
sort to grant them the
access to
ability
that.
to use that.
Years ago. But I think that property is technically owned by Parks as part of Lake Eola Park, but as the mayor says, there's some type of action taken back several years ago to authorize them to use that.
So we'll be looking at this for 6
I'm sorry, I
months?
can't hear you, Commissioner.
So we'll be looking at this for 6 months? I'm more so concerned about the impact on the businesses, the time frame from 10. So that would have to be 6 months. Can we revisit that, Mayor, in 3 months to make sure nobody go out of business?
Yeah, we can always revisit
The
that.
outdoor dining piece.
And this is only on first read, so Thomas is going to have an opportunity.
And it's
Yeah, I
public
would like
right-of-way.
to see it to midnight if possible.
It's for public right-of-way. And so, I'm obviously not the lawyer, but I just want to point out, though that property is perhaps owned by Lake Eola, I'm not sure that equates to the same thing as public right-of-way. The intent for us is not to remove that. The intent for us is to remove speakers and diminish the sound in streets, speakers that are, again, outside, on the sidewalk, on a building, facing the sidewalk and the street, thereby creating more higher level of music in the
I'm in
streets.
favor of all those. I'm just concerned about the dining piece, the cafe piece.
Understood.
Because 6 months of business can go out of business if they lose 2-4 hours or whatever their peak hours are. I don't know what their peak hours are, but I'm really concerned about it.
Peak alcohol hours, I've been told, are between 12 and 2:30. Peak food hours would be much, much earlier. And so it's difficult, Commissioner. That's why I said this is difficult for all of us. It's difficult to surgically, do what we're trying to do without causing some inconvenience and some financial harm, quite frankly, to certain businesses. But again, it's temporary. It's for us to study the situation. You can always change, obviously, and we will be studying it and bringing back the results of that analysis to you, so that we know more definitively what to recommend for long term.
Thank you, Thomas.
Commissioner Sheehan.
I guess my concern is that, when I was younger, I used to do shift work and I used to get off at midnight, and I would go get something to eat. My concern is that, not all these young people are doing bad things. Some of them just want to go out after a lot of them work in the hospitality industry. They might have later shifts that they get off and they might want to get something to eat.
Sure.
They're not the problem.
Sure.
The kids that are working, they're not the problem.
Understood.
So I hate to disenfranchise the kids that are just going out to have a late meal, and some of them might.
Commissioner, this doesn't preclude them from continuing to serve food inside.
No, it does not.
This is just the outside, on the sidewalk. So if they're truly
After 10.
continuing to serve food, they can go inside the establishment and get food.
Okay.
After 10.
I have a little bit of heartburn on that aspect of it.
Understood.
You know, a little different if you're sitting outside and having something to eat and you're just partying outside. There's a difference there. So, I mean, I'll support it, but I do have some reservations. And maybe talk to some of the business owners and see what their food receipts are after 10 p.m.
Certainly.
Yeah, thank you. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, Thomas, work on it over the next couple of weeks, and we'll see where we land.
Certainly. Look forward to it. Thank you.
Further discussion. Commissioner Hill, did you have something else? No. Okay, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Okay, we have one more item of business, which is a quasi-judicial hearing. This is an agenda item from a recommended order from a hearing officer in case number QJ 2021-001. The case involves an appeal from the MPB's decision to recommend approval of a master plan for a 247-unit multifamily residential development at the northwest corner of Jongyang Parkway and WD Judge Drive. The petitioner in this case is Wanda Jones, and the respondent is Colonial Imports Limited. Let's begin with our planning official, Elizabeth Dang, and then we'll hear from the petitioner and the respondent if they're present.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council members. If I could have the screen displayed, please. Thank you. Again, my name is Elizabeth Dang. I'm here from the City Planning Division to present to you today the staff position statement on the quasi-judicial appeal for the proposed 247-unit multifamily development at the northwest corner of North Jongyang Parkway and WD Judge Road. This item was heard by the Municipal Planning Board on January 19th, 2021. Dr. Wanda Jones has appealed the decision. This location map shows the location of the property at the northwest corner of Jongyang and WD Judge. It's approximately 11.78 acres. The requested action today is a master plan for 247 units, including 240 multifamily units and 7 townhome-style rental units. I would like to mention that no bonus or modification of standards or other relief from the code was requested. This map shows the future land use category, which is residential medium intensity. It's also part of sub-area policy S.3.7, which is applied to the entire District West property that the council heard about a year ago, and it includes development requirements for that property as well. The zoning is R3B with the Wakaiva overlay zoning requirements. Previous actions includes a municipal planning board that recommended approval of the entire District West rezone and growth management plan amendment, as well as approval of a framework master plan for the District West site. Those items were all appealed. The council heard that appeal in April of 2020 and upheld the MPB recommendation and subsequently adopted the related GMP and zoning ordinances. And then in January of this year, it went to the Municipal Planning Board as a phased development. So this is the next phase, which is this multifamily project, and the MPB recommended approval. This is the map of the District West Framework Plan. And you can see the subject property at the south end here labeled as Tract D, and it was designated for multifamily residential. This aerial photo shows the Princeton Oaks Warehouse and Distribution Center to the west, Conservation to the north, the future Four Roots Farm to the east, and the Frito-Lay to the south. This development plan shows the multifamily buildings, the associated parking, and the framework street that passes through the property. The site's density is 21 units per acre, which meets the R3B zoning standard, the maximum height of 40 feet. The impervious surface ratio, the maximum is 0.7. This project proposes 0.54. It also meets the setback and parking requirements and includes buffer yard C on the western property line. Building elevations follow here for the multifamily buildings, as well as the townhome style multifamily units. So master plan applications are quasi-judicial matters or implementing actions, and the city code allows persons dissatisfied with a quasi-judicial recommendation to have a de novo or new hearing before a hearing officer. That hearing occurred on March 24th with several hours of testimony. The hearing officer included the following findings related to some of the wetland conditions. These include that the on-site surface water and jurisdictional wetland locations were delineated and approved by the Water Management District, and the Water Management District does require an environmental resource permit before impacts to any wetland or surface water are allowed, and that's part of the permitting requirement. And finally, the U.S. Army Corps issued an approved jurisdictional determination that the surface waters and wetlands are not jurisdictional to their agency. And the zoning findings by the hearing officer is that the project is indeed located within District West. It has the R3BW zoning category and the residential medium intensity future land use category, and the project is consistent with those development standards and the permitted uses in the R3BW zoning district. So the MPB's recommendation does not violate any local, state, or federal law. So the hearing officer's recommendation is to deny the petition and accept and adopt the Municipal Planning Board's recommendation in case number MPL 2020-10085. So the City Council action today is either to adopt the recommended order with changes, or to direct staff to prepare a revised order. And the staff recommendation is to approve the hearing officer's recommended order for the quasi-judicial appeals.
Questions for Elizabeth before we move on to the appellant and the petitioner?
Did they ever receive?
Commissioner Hill?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. I know it's part of the quasi piece, but I do want to ask the question. Did this group receive any opportunity zone incentives?
That's not part of our land use and zoning review, so I don't know the answer to that, but I believe the applicant will be here.
Oh, great.
So you can ask.
Any other questions? Okay, section 2.209 Orlando City Code provides the council will not entertain comments from the public. However, the city council may allow staff and each party up to 10 minutes for oral presentation or argument. Historically, we've given each party 5 minutes. So I would like to call on the petitioner, Miss Jones, 5 minutes, followed by the respondent.
Good afternoon. In spite of the, well, first of all, my name is Dr. Wanda Jones, 51 East Jefferson Street, Orlando, 32802. So in spite of the hearing officer's findings, I'm still in opposition to this destruction of the Little Wekiva River headwaters wetlands. And again, in spite of the hearing officer's findings that there is no violation of state or federal law, I continue to say that there is violation of the Endangered Species Act, the Clean Water Act, the Migratory Species Act, and the Wekiva Parkway Protection Act and the Wild and Scenic River Act. There's a number of different ones. However, considering the fact that this council has continuously approved projects that are destroying this forest, which at one time was almost 400 acres, and has even itself approved one of the city's projects that destroyed this forest. I assume it would seem that they would most likely, you all would most likely make the same decision. So in saying that, one of the points that he did not address was air quality. None of the applicants had never requested an air quality study. And The EPA rewarded a grant to a grassroots organization started by the residents in the neighborhood around this forest, the Mercy Drive neighborhood. They awarded a grant for us to study air quality because they found that we do have very poor air quality, and the loss of this forest is going to further reduce the air quality upon which the senior citizens, which there are many that live in this neighborhood, are dependent. The applicant didn't ask the consultant, the environmental consultant, to do an air quality study, which may not have been in their purview. They didn't ask anybody else to do an air quality study, nor were studies, a health assessment study conducted to see how it would impact the health of the people in that area, the loss of this forest. And there was not a traffic study done to see how it would impact the neighborhood. There was a traffic study done to look at how it interacted with John Young Parkway, but not for this neighborhood. And so as a result, there is a very strong concern, I have a very strong concern that further loss of this forest will have a negative impact on the neighborhood. The environmental assessment that was done was completely inadequate, a complete farce. Mr. Miklos is a limnologist of fresh water, got his bachelor's degree in limnology, which is studying freshwater fish, has absolutely nothing to do with wildlife biology. I myself have been studying this area for over 30 years because I live there, so I am seeing the impact already that these projects have been having on the wildlife and on the hydrology of our neighborhood. If the city council actually, as I believe Commissioner Shanahan said earlier, that all you want to do is work for the good of your citizens, well, then this one time, say no to this project. This council talks about how the state is completely running over local government. Well, the local government in this case is completely running over what the citizens desire. The fact that my neighborhood is in the county rather than the city is notwithstanding, we're directly impacted by what you all are doing as the city council, what the decisions are that you're making. I was really amazed because, yes, it was really bad that the gentleman, the man, tried to steal the signet from Lake Eola, yet this exact company, Capital Imports, just destroyed the nest of a pair of swallowtail kikes that come back every single year to raise their young. They fly 5,000 miles to lay their nest in the forest that you all have been destroying for the past 4 years. And in the past 5 years, they've lost 3 of their nests because of the fact that this deforestation that you keep approving took their nests down, and it's happened again last week. So there's so many wrongs here that 5 minutes really doesn't do it justice, but I've pretty much, my arguments that I've stated previously that are on record remain the same. This time I'm adding the fact that if you all approve this project, then you are essentially going to sentence people in this area to a slow death due to poor air quality, and that's murder. Thank you.
Okay, let's hear from Colonial Imports, the respondent.
Mr. Mayor and members of the council, good afternoon. My name is Brandon Huber, and I represent the respondent in this matter. My address for the record is 250 South Park Avenue, Suite 360, Winter Park, 32789. Just to avoid reiterating what Ms. Dang said and to fill in some gaps here, Commissioner Hill, to your question, yes, this is located within an opportunity zone. Going back to the beginning of this project, right, even before I became involved, this property went through a zoning and land use change. It was appealed then. That's been heard. The zoning is now, as Ms. Dang described, and what we are proposing is consistent with the zoning, future land use, and the land development code of the county. Some of the points that were raised I'd like to talk about. We did notify our neighbors as required by the code, which happened to be only Frito-Lay, Foundry, and actually the seller to us. In addition to that, we notified over 200 residents located in the community down Judge Road. We had an online community meeting, and I set up an email address to receive comments from residents, and other than Dr. Jones and one participant in the neighborhood meeting, did not receive any emails. This property was used as a borrow pit, I believe, sometime in the early 70s. In addition, there was a canal dug to the north of it, according to our consultants, that affected the hydrology of this property. The wetlands that remain are very low quality. We performed every study required of us by the Land Development Code, including a traffic study, which is part of the evidence in the quasi-judicial appeal, and which found a minimal impact on Judge Road, which is the neighborhood that the appellant is describing. The air quality study mentioned is not a requirement of the Land Development Code. And I would say that during the quasi-judicial hearing, the appellant did not proffer herself as an expert, nor was she accepted as one by the hearing officer. No witnesses were presented, and the decision can only be made on competent substantial evidence, which is what it was. So we are developing this property consistent with code, and this has been reviewed by city staff both before, during, and after the master plan approval. The municipal planning board has heard this, they've approved it, and now the hearing officer in the quasi-judicial appeal has reviewed the appeal and upheld the municipal planning board's approval. And I respectfully request that you do the same today. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Questions, Commissioner Hill?
Thank you, Mr. Huber. It's within code, and, I will vote yes, because there's no other options. But I can tell you, I'm not really happy about this project. 240 plus units and not one affordable piece. I've spoken with the owners, and I was hoping that they would speak, well, the developers, they're not the owners yet, and I was hoping that they would speak with housing and work with housing because of all the affordable housing funds that the city has to possibly help them fill that gap. I really, I believe it was in 2016 or so, worked with the Foundry, at that time CNL, to bring Princeton Oaks to that community, that industrial park. Fought really hard against some protests of those in my community because they didn't think it was a great project for that area. They told us about all the job opportunities, Mayor, that was going to come because of that project. Mayor, we don't have one job. Not one out of the 500 plus jobs they said they would offer. Not only have they not given us any jobs, Mayor Dyer, I'm sad to report that during our COVID relief efforts, and I know this has nothing to do with these developers, but I'm talking about this whole project in itself. Myself and our recreation team was trying to give out food to those in that most vulnerable community. And they hired security to keep us out, to stage cars there so that it wouldn't be a public safety. So I'm hoping maybe this group that specializes in affordable housing and specializes in affordable housing is refusing an opportunity zone to help those that opportunity zones were created for. I'm not calling them opportunists, but it's kind of opportunistic. Hopefully, as we move forward, that they will reach out to our housing department to do what opportunity zones were created to do. Is yes, develop and change blight and slum, but also to help those in those areas. Frito-Lay isn't a neighbor. It's not a person, it's a business. I'm talking about the neighbors that live on Mercy Drive. Hopefully they'll get to know the people and right some wrongs that have been done there. Hopefully the Foundry group, if they're listening, will work with their warehouse lease manager and let her know that it's not right to already step on the downtrodden. To be a good neighbor and a good stakeholder. That's why I voted yes to change that from residential to industrial. Because I thought they would be great community partners and stakeholders and create opportunity. Not to continue to, I almost said something that wasn't really favorable. But I don't like what's going on in that park and what these folks are coming to our community and just not showing us any attention. But the attention that they're showing us is disgraceful. And with that, Mayor, I'll leave it there. It's not right what's going on over there, Mayor Dyer.
Okay, you move the staff recommendation.
Yes, I'll move it.
Motion by Commissioner Hill to approve the hearing officer's recommended order for the quasi-judicial appeals. Second by Commissioner Sheehan. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Okay, that concludes the official business of the Orlando City Council for today. Can Ed and crew, can you get us in a position to take general appearance?